Back, everybody. It is now time for What's Hot. This is where we talk about the stories that have everybody talking.
We are joined today by Susie Falk with the Falk Group Public Relations. Jeff Wagner is back with us. The search is on for 116 passengers on board a plane that went missing this morning in Africa. The plane adjusted its course to avoid a storm. Officials believe it crashed. This is the third major aviation disaster in a week. What are your thoughts about all the recent plane disasters? And then, of course, you have the Malaysia Airlines that went missing back this winter. They still haven't found that.
I don't think there's a pattern, fortunately, so I'm not worried about, terrorist activities shooting down all the planes that are missing or have gone down. I do think it is a little nerve-rattling, though, the coincidence that these three planes have gone down recently. If you look at air travel, it's still, one of the safest modes of transportation. 3.3 billion people flew last year internationally. It's still very safe. If it turns out that this most recent downing of the plane was caused by a missile, then I'll start to worry. But it sounds to me as though weather might have been involved, and that the communication system in that part of the world isn't all that good. So
yeah,
hopefully it's an accident.
I think first of all you have to put the situation in Ukraine away. That's a different. It is unfortunately an extremely unique situation and very, very terrible. But that's different. I think I'm with you, Susie. I think the reality is that air travel is incredibly safe, given how many people fly on a regular basis. But still, it's flying. You got planes that are up in the air. You're subject to some of these weather issues and things like that. And like you say, in different parts of the world, the communication systems are different. Would I hesitate from flying? No.
There's certainly places I wouldn't fly to. I wouldn't go to Israel right now.
Really?
No, I wouldn't, actually. And there are certain parts of the world I wouldn't fly to. But I would go to France. I would go to Italy. I'd go to some of the more safe travel routes. But there are no-fly zones that I think I would stay away from. The FAA just said that certain planes shouldn't fly to certain airports in Israel. So
Jeff, I'll bounce that off of you. I mean, there's been a lot of debate about flying into Israel, that it's bad, maybe politics for the U.S. to have the FAA say, you know what, it's not safe to go there right now. Would you fly to Israel right now?
I would, yeah. Matter of fact, because part of it is, I think it's, and matter of fact, my understanding is the FAA has now lifted that no-fly rule starting today.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, they had it for the last couple of days. I guess I'm concerned that is sort of giving in to the terrorism and things like that. And El Al did fly back and forth. I mean, that rule just applied, for example, to the U.S. airlines. I would have flown there. I will tell you, I'd think long and hard about whether I would be flying over Ukraine. I'm less concerned about Israel than that war
And
zone.
honestly, Tel Aviv, as far as the actual airport goes, one of the safest places in the world. They are all business.
El Al is the safest airline ever.
Right.
Right. Well, and just, use common sense, folks, but I'll take my cue from the FAA.
Right. But I mean, again, the spooky thing is, I mean, when you hear about, for example, I assume it was a Russian separatist that shot down the Malaysia airplane. I mean, it is kind of a spooky world out there if you have, people who are on the ground who can get access to missiles that can shoot a plane down 32,000 feet above the air. Now, that's not going to stop me from flying, but it says what a scary world we do live in.
Okay, well out of time on this one. Coming up next, we reveal the viewer's choice topic.
Choice topic of the day.
Again, we are joined by Susie Falk and Jeff Wagner from 620 WTMJ. The viewer's choice topic today, the governor's race, shaping up to be a dead heat. A new Marquette poll shows among likely voters, Mary Burke leads by a smidge. Among registered voters, Governor Walker leads by a smidge. What are your thoughts on this race? And I guess it boils down to this. If you don't like the phone calls, if you don't like campaign commercials, this is not the year for you.
Tune it out till November.
It's going to be a wacky time for the next few weeks. Anything goes.
The most interesting thing to me is there's almost nobody that's undecided.
Right.
I mean, and it really is. If you look at these poll numbers, it's really pretty much a referendum on Governor Walker, and almost everybody has an opinion. So what's so interesting to me is we're going to see millions of dollars spent over the course, of the next couple months to either try to identify that handful of people who might be undecided, or more likely to rally your base to make sure people get turned out. But you're exactly right, Steve. Yeah. If people are sick of getting those calls, man, you're going to get 3 times as many this year because it's all about turnout.
What is the percentage of undecided voters in this?
4%.
4%.
Oh my gosh.
But
I don't believe that.
You do look at the number of independent voters, though, in the last month, and they're right now, the numbers are going up for Mary Burke. So she's winning some of the independent voters according to the Marquette poll. This is a dead heat. heat, you know, in terms of a smidge. There's nobody is winning this race, and I just hope it doesn't turn ugly. I hope, you know, our two officials that are running for this office will keep the high road and talk about the issues that matter. And I think they're both very formidable candidates, and should the best man or woman win.
But Susie, it's politics.
It's going to get ugly. Is that what you're saying?
It's going to be
it always does.
And you're going to have a ton of outside money that's going to be pouring in.
It's the outside groups a lot of times too that turn things.
I mean, we always say this, that this is the ugliest race. This one really might take the cake, because like I say, it's so very, very close. It's so contested, and I mean, yeah, the poll showed 4% undecided. I don't believe that. I don't believe that there's anybody that's really undecided that's ultimately going to vote in this. This is about motivating your base and getting them out. The way you do that.
Let me springboard off that, put it to you this way. If this is a dead heat on Election Day, and it does come down to getting the vote out, who do you think has the advantage there?
Ask me in a month or two. I mean, seriously. I mean, you're seeing huge amounts of money on both sides put into the get out the vote effort, because they understand how important that's going to be. Every vote counts.
All right, lightning round time. A 4-year-old Connecticut boy banned from his favorite donut shop because he asked someone if she was pregnant. The customer was not. The woman shrugged it off. Managers not as forgiving, and told them to leave. When the boy and his mother came in the next day, they called the little boy rude. So they're going to take their business elsewhere. This little boy is so cute. He asks a million questions about everything, as most 4-year-olds do.
You know, if this were a mean man that made the same mistake, I would say, you know, ban him. But this is a little boy, and people make this mistake all the time.
Adults make this mistake.
It happened to me years ago. But you know what? It is what it is, and these people should make a stink and go elsewhere and spend money on carbs at another donut shop. And
my nephew is 7 years old, and he inherited my brother's sense of humor, but not my brother's filter as of yet. So you wouldn't be amazed at some of the things that Alex comes out with. His latest thing is he likes to go to a restaurant, and the waiter or waitress comes by and asks what you want to drink, and he orders like Miller 64s, and all the rest of us kind of get embarrassed. I could see my nephew saying this, no malice at all.
When we started doing It's Raining, It's Pouring, the Old Man is Snoring song to explain thunder, then my 2-year-old then, at the time he was 2, was obsessed with the old man, so we'd be out in public.
Is that the old
with
man?
gray hair,
Steve
he'd be
would
like,
be an old man.
Old man, old man.
Yeah.
No filter, huh?
Well, and seeing the thing
Well,
about
he was singing the guy in the song.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, there is a lesson here for all of us, especially guys. You know, if there's any question at all whether the lady might be pregnant, just don't ask. You know, if there's any question
Steve's
at
really
all.
good at that.
There's a list of questions you never ask a woman, and that's on that list.
Or age,
he will
right?
learn soon enough. The What's Hot discussion continues online. Find it TMJ4.com.